Welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast. We have Money Mindset Master Lisa Smith. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
We're talking today about 10 money mindset shifts. We're talking about how to retire by 45. And we were just talking about how you were teaching university students how to retire by 35. And I said, how? So let's just start there. How do we retire so fast?
Okay. I'm actually working with a couple 20-year-olds who want to retire like at 25 or 30. So I think the big myth out there is that you have to work until you're 65 or later. And people follow the rules of, oh, my Social Security thing says I have to work until I'm 78. That's bogus. So I retired at 45. You can really, all you have to do is have passive income that exceeds your expenses. And so that's the technical, official. Some people are, location independent. We want to be financially independent so you can live anywhere. Essentially, we want to create enough money that we can live a lifestyle that we're super happy with. And I do that through stock market investing. So investing in the stock market, and the whole trick here is investing so that your money works for you. Most people are working for their money. They earn the money, then they spend it and it's gone, and they have to start all over again. You want to earn the money and then put your money to work for you. So like planting little baby apple seeds, and then you get a bunch of trees. How many apples can you get from that? Like a bazillion, right? All those trees are going to have apples with seeds in them. And so the trick is putting your money to work for you. And if you are a lifelong investor, it's very easy to make millions of dollars over 20 years in the stock market without actually having to know a ton about all the companies that you're investing in. You just let the best of the best run their companies, and you let them earn the money for you. So the stock market for me has been I've been super successful in that, and the people that I work with have been super successful. And I don't want to babysit my money. And so basically getting to financial independence. So that is something that's kind of new to most people. Like, you don't have to work until you're 65. You don't have to work until you're 70. You can retire early. Just be intentional about it.
Okay, so we have a working definition for financial independence, which is passive income that exceeds living expenses.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing the math and I was going, all right, so if I want to get there faster, maybe I should reduce my living expenses. Um, and you say you got there at 45. And do you remember the day where you were like looking at your account and going, that's it, I'm good?
Yep. I actually worked for about 2 more years after I knew that I was financially independent, because I wanted to have a little margin, a buffer, like a safety margin, because I thought, I'm not coming back to work. Like, when I pull the plug, I'm done. But I remember the day I called my boss. Actually called my boss's boss, and I thought I would be super nervous. I thought I would be like scared to do it, and I was so excited. And he picks up the phone. He's like, "Hello," and I said, "My last day is going to be in 2 weeks." And I worked in a place where it was very traditional that you worked until 65. So if you retired extremely early, that might be 62.
Mm.
So it was unbelievable that I would walk away at 45.
And what is life like retired?
I was fully retired for 6 years, and your relationship with time changes. So it becomes more fluid. You can work on a project for 3 days and you don't have to stop and go to work. So your relationship with time changes. People would say, "Hey, Lisa, do you want to go on a vacation for a week? It's going to be $3,000 or $7,000, and we'll fly every 2 days. We'll fly to a different place." And I started saying no, because I realized I could go to Mexico or China or wherever I wanted to go, Belize, and live there for 6 months and do slow travel. And so everything changes. Your life is not ruled by the clock, and it's not ruled by a task list. It's just fluid. Like, you decide, okay, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? Still striving for your passions, but it changes completely traffic is no longer an issue. You're not like, you don't have to drive in traffic. You don't go to the store on Saturday when everyone else goes to the store. I go to the store on Tuesday mornings. Place is clear. There's no one in the parking lot. There's no one in line. I ski on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays. There's no lines.
I'm glad I asked. I wasn't expecting that your relationship with time changes. And I'm a traveler. So when you tell me like you can slow travel and go anywhere you want, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Now, I'll ask maybe a personal question, but what is the annual passive income that allows for your lifestyle to be like, just do whatever you want?
Most people, and what I retired on, it's higher now because I keep everyone that I teach keeps increasing that over time. And the amount that I'm going to tell you is typical for most people. So if you're in a different country, it might be lower. This is in US dollars, but it's about $120,000 with no debt. So no house payment, no car payment, no credit card, no student loans, no personal loans. And with 120, that's $10,000 a month. It's ample. So when I retired, it was ample for me to travel. I spent 6 weeks in Belize, 6 weeks in China. I decided to go learn Spanish in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. So I spent 6 weeks down there in a Spanish school. Then I decided I want to go on the beach in Belize. So I went with one of my sisters and her family. We lived on the beach for 6 weeks in Belize. So every week that you spend in a different place peels back the layer every single week. So you get to know it better and better, where the locals eat, where the best places are, where the beaches are. So if you're just there for 2 days or 3 days or a week and you're trying to cram that travel in, you don't actually really get anything but that surface level.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll briefly tell you a cautionary tale.
Okay.
I had a friend, entrepreneur. He says, Majid, I'm raising friends and family money for my startup. And I said, well, I'm a friend. Can I invest? And I said, I asked my savvy investor question, which is, what's the lowest amount I can invest? And he said $10,000. So I gave him $10,000. He launches the company. The company goes public. The stock splits again. And all of a sudden I have $500,000 worth of stock. And I'm feeling like a freaking genius. And my lifestyle goes out of control. I'm not just traveling. I'm buying tickets for everybody I know to travel with me. I have never seen so much money in my bank account. I had six figures, multiple six figures cash in my bank account. And then other buddy comes along and says, I'm doing a friends and family thing and I'm raising 50 grand. And I said, let me just transfer you 50 grand. And then my other buddy comes along and he says, I'm doing this thing, send me 100 grand. Boom, I send him 100 grand. And before I know it, all the money's gone.
Yeah.
And now I have a bunch of documents that said I sent lots of money to these guys who they did not do the same as the first one. The first
Right.
one, 10,000 turns into 500,000. Everyone else was like, sorry, so things didn't work out as well as we had hoped, and your money's gone.
Yep.
So I learned that investing in people's startups is really awesome, almost never,
Hmm.
except for the one time in my case. And the whole time, I never really considered the stock market as even an option. I had this idea in my head that stock market's gambling.
Yep.
Investing in my friend's startup is cool. So perhaps that'll give you something to share with us about like maybe what not to do. And also like, how did you do it? Like, how did you invest in the stock market and retire?
So I hear this a lot actually. First of all, there's a lot of mindset stuff that goes on, and just so we can set the stage for this, most people are starting to learn about money at age 2 or 3. And by age 7, our brain has already formed the habits that we're going to use for money for the rest of our life. Age 7. Haven't even gotten a paycheck yet.
That's crazy. Okay, I just have to say, when I was a kid, we had paper money in wallets and we would like count it and hand it to people, and sometimes we would get change. My kids have no idea what that looks like. I wave my phone around the cash register and my kids are like, okay, it's ours now, whatever we just
Yeah,
bought. It's like there's
like a
no
magic
concept.
wand.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So at age 7, like right now, whatever you verbally say, or even around money, your kids
Mm,
pick that up. They're
mm,
sponges. So when we were little at age 7, you could have had like a parent or a grandparent or a neighbor say something. Money is hard, or the stock market is gambling. I hear the stock market is gambling almost on a daily basis.
mm,
And and I'm actually working with people who are in their 70s who are now saying, oh, I wish everyone says the same line. I wish I had known this 20 years ago.
mm,
And really, what I teach is a set it and forget it system for the stock market because I want you to be a lifelong investor because you can't help but make money over time. The stock market's going to be higher in 20 years than it is today. So I think when people say, and there's so many different things. A lot of people think, oh, if you're if you're rich, you're evil. Like there's all sorts of money mindsets that trip us up. And we have to examine those. Like if you say, what am I frustrated with? What keeps happening over and over again in my money situation? Do I earn a lot of money and then spend it, or do I get a lot of debt and pay it down and get a lot of debt? Like what cycle am I stuck in? And that's gonna lead you to these money beliefs. And the good news is that you can change them. So you can write down, what do I believe around money? So in my case, I believe that money was hard to get. It was hard to earn. So earning money's a grind. Like that's what I would write down. And then we can actually inform our subconscious decision. So we have subconscious scripts that are formed at age 7. So for you, the stock market is gambling,
mm-hmm.
which is interesting because startups are notoriously risky, right? But you happen to do very well in the first one. Probably wished you put 50,000 in that one instead of 10,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
But if you don't know what to do with the money, I've had people who sell companies for millions of dollars and then they don't know what to do with it. So it almost becomes like a lottery winning, like, oh, I got this. I don't, I was kind of lucky getting it. Now what do I do with it? And so if you don't have a place for it, a container to invest it in, that makes money for you. So I don't have to, as a retired person, even though I have a business now teaching other people how to do this, I still live on passive income and it just is deposited into my account. That's kind of the magic that people don't understand is how do we get it from I've earned it to I don't have to keep going back to work to earn it over and over again. But the mindset just takes a little mindset shift, which is I can make my money work for me. And it's an employee that never gets sick, it never complains, it doesn't like call in, it doesn't take vacation, it just works. And so what I recommend for most people is starting with their 401k. If you're in the US, if you're in Australia, it's your super. If you're in Europe, it's called by a different name, but it's still the same thing. So what I recommend for people doing that, the most simple thing and the easiest way for us to create $1 billion, and this is going to sound boring, but it works. Some people try to be clever and they get really low returns. We're getting an average of about 15% return or higher in in our level one.
15%.
And it's because we take advantage. If the stock market goes down, we don't freak out, we buy more. But the stock market is going to go up over time. So we're just consistently investing. So if the stock market goes down, I make money. If the stock market goes up, I make money. That's a pretty good system. No
Is
matter
that
what the stock
dollar
market
cost
does.
averaging?
Yeah, you just put in, like I had a friend who was investing and she was putting in any bonuses that she got. And she was consistently she didn't even start until age 45. She's like, all right, I want to do this investing thing. What do I do? So she starts investing at about $2,000 a month. And and she just consistently puts that in there. She puts it up on autopilot. She sets it up on autopilot. She doesn't even have to think about it. It just comes out of her checking account and she invests it. After about, now that was right after '08. So the stock market went up for 14 years straight after '08, after that massive correction. And by the way, that scared most people. But the safest time to invest is after the market goes down.
Yeah.
This is the safest time to invest. The prices are lower. The companies that can't handle it are gone. The companies that survived are lean.
Yeah.
But most people, we have to have an inverse relationship with risk. So some people think that investing in the stock market is risky. And I would say not investing in the stock market is risky because if you have it in a CD boring, not going to work. You're getting 3%. That's not even going to keep up with inflation. If you have it in bonds, I think bonds suck. I don't put my money in bonds. I don't want my money in bonds. It acts like an anchor and it drags down your return. And the other thing we have to think about, so I think differently than most people about investing and what is real risk versus perceived risk. So perceived risk is if the market goes down, I'm going to lose money. Real risk, and so they sell, they go into cash when the market goes down. They freak out. Oh my gosh, I'm losing all my money. So I'm going to take it from the stock market. I'm going to put it into cash. But what always happens when the stock market goes down? It bounces and then it goes right back up higher than it ever dropped every single time. If you look at the
The
history.
market, the
Yeah,
market does.
the stock market.
And so are you buying the market? Like, are you buying index funds?
Yeah, I would recommend for the general person that you buy, yeah, the low cost index fund, S&P 500.
Hmm.
You will become a multimillionaire by investing consistently in that, especially after the market goes down.
So to get to this magical $120,000 a year,
Hmm.
if you're making 15%, that means you've got something like 800,000 in your portfolio.
If you want to take out what we use is we call the safe withdrawal rate. So that's 4%. You can take out 4% of your total that's invested into the stock market. You can take that out every year. You'll never run out of money.
Okay.
So we just
So
do a little.
so
So if
maybe
I,
it's like
it's 3 million.
you got to get 3 million.
If you have 3 million, you can take out 120 a year and never run out of money. And you are retired. You are financially independent.
So that's the number I came to. I can't remember when this was, 10 years ago. I'm sitting down with a financial advisor and I said, I want to get to 3 million because I can live off 10% of that. So 10% of 3 million is 300 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought I need to be fancy. I need to have a $300,000 life. And then he goes tap 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 on his laptop and he flips it around and he shows me this logarithmic curve that goes from zero, which is where I was at, to 3 million.
Uh-huh.
And he says, I told him I can save, I think I said I can save $2,000 a month, which felt pretty aggressive for me. And then he's like, okay, here's the plan. You're going to get there. It's going to take you 42 years. And I was like, buddy, come on, what are we doing here? And I said, okay, show me how to get there in 3 years. And so he goes, tap, 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 tap. And he spins around his laptop and he says, you need to save $100,000 a month. And I was like, all right, well, I don't like any of these answers.
Right.
And then I just didn't do anything.
Yeah. Which
So,
which rightfully so. So let's talk about how you can do this faster.
yeah.
So you got to set up the base because you have to have a container, right? You have to have an investing strategy. And then what you do is you just do it faster. So I spend a lot of time paying down debt and then I aggressively invested. So as a teacher, I was doing stuff on the side, entrepreneur stuff on the side, and I was putting in probably about
Like what?
15 grand a month.
Like what? What were you doing?
I had an eBay business where I sold designer men and women's clothing and shoes.
There you go.
Yeah, I was making fishing cleats on my kitchen table for a company that would later be sold to Sims, which is a fly fishing company.
Cool.
So I was doing all sorts of things because I was just getting creative. I've seen people build up and sell a business. So I go from like we are just passively doing this over time to people who are like, no, I want to do this quick. I want to do this in 3 years. I want to do this in 4 years. And with that, you can do it either really slow and put a little bit in over time, like your guy was like doing the math,
Yeah.
or I was really aggressive for 5 years and I just put as much as I possibly could in every single month. But you don't have to save every dollar because the stock market is also growing the money. And so the more you put in, you're getting dividends from stocks. I get forms of passive income. So through other investments. And so all of that was just going into the pile and that nest egg was just growing and growing. So once you really, it's about increasing your ability to be an investor, like thinking like a long-term investor. I'm going to be an investor for the rest of my life. So ultimately, you're not going to end up with 3 million. You're going to end up with more. And I know the number 3 million that actually triggers a lot of people. They're like, no way, no way. But I know a lot of teachers who had 3 million just in their 401k from just
How
consistently investing over time. Compound interest. So this is
how
how
much
money
does a
works.
teacher invest every month? How much does a teacher get paid?
They were making at the time they were probably making about 80. They're probably making 120 now.
Okay, in my head, I'm going 80 grand for 10 years. If you save 100% of that, you're at $80,000.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. This is how money works. Money goes like this, and it's like nothing is happening forever, and then all of a sudden it arcs up.
Okay.
So you have like if you look at like let's look at Warren Buffett, who's like arguably the best investor of our time. So at age 60, he's worth something like 9 billion. And then at age 90, because he has that extra 30 years, he's worth like, I don't even know, 96 billion something. I'm making up numbers now, but it's
Mm,
it's exponentially bigger. And that's why I say it's so easy to make money over time because you're going to
mm.
be doing creative things, you're going to be doing things. You're going to what happens is people start seeing the growth in their account and they're like, "Oh, I want to do more of this." And so your brain changes, your thinking changes, and your mindset changes to what's possible. And then people start saving more, they start earning more on the side, they start going, oh, I'm getting closer, man, I'm getting closer to my goal. And they just get more motivated, plus they get better over time.
So speaking of money mindset, you have something called the money mindset shifts, the 10 money mindset shifts. How can people get a hold of that?
They can go to lisasmith.com and just go to the little freebie section and we'll send that out to you.
Okay. So let's talk about money mindset and money mindset shifts. What is money mindset and what are the shifts?
Okay, let's talk about this. I feel like there's two things that matter for people, your level of wealth and I mean your level of income, everything. So the amount of money that comes into your life and stays into your life. It's based on two things: your mindset around money and your skill set. I can teach skill set and it may have no impact if the mindset doesn't change around the money.
Okay.
So the mindset has to be I'm capable.
Mm,
I am capable of having $3+ million in my investment account. And when I say that to people, there's two little tests that I'll just kind of talk with people through because they tend to get triggered. I have had clients who literally have $3 million in their account. So they're looking at all the zeros and it triggers them. Why? We talk through this and they say, you know what? If my family found out how much money I had, they would stop loving me. That's the belief as a 7-year-old, right? That's the 7-year-old belief they're bringing to the picture. So I've had multiple clients stop investing once they cross that $3 million threshold because the love from their family is more important than the money they have in their account. Now, you and I would say, "My God, that's like totally separate. It's completely separate, but not to a 7-year-old. And everybody's operating on these 7-year-old scripts and they're subconscious. So we're not thinking through them, but our thoughts inform our subconscious. And then 90% of our behavior is based on our subconscious beliefs. So if you have to believe it's okay to have $3 million. I'm not going to be a bad person. The stock market is there as a tool for me to grow wealth. There's a lot of shifts that you have to have around money. And some people think, oh, I'm bad with money. That's a really common one. I'm bad with money. And that just might be something, a family adopted thing that your parents said, or you thought, or you were even told. Hopefully not. But sometimes people are told you're horrible with money.
yeah.
That like doesn't, that's like not a thing. It's a belief that dictates behavior, but it's not something that can't be changed like today.
Yeah.
So you have to believe differently and stop the negative spinning that's going on in your head. Like if you believe I'm never going to be good with money, then you're going to act in ways that undermine your success. So you have to tackle these beliefs first. What is preventing you from actually attaining your goals? People have goals and then they're like, "Oh, I'm stuck here." But what is this resistance? If you're running into resistance, you have to sit down and do the deep work And it doesn't even need to take more than 30 minutes, but writing down, what are my beliefs around money? What did my parents say? What is it? If I have money, it's gone. I have people that say, I'm comfortable with debt. They'll tell me, Lisa, you need to know I'm comfortable with debt. I'm like, okay, we need to change that because I want you to be comfortable with wealth. But most people aren't comfortable with wealth because they don't think they're qualified or deserving of or whatever. And actually, it doesn't really matter. Wealth and money is a neutral thing. It's neutral. It's completely neutral. So you have this stick of scarcity, which is on one side, I save absolutely everything and I just hold on to every dollar. And you also have on the other end of that same stick of scarcity, I spend everything. I just spend everything. Money just goes through my hands. It's never in my bank account, just leaves. And those are both different forms of scarcity. And in your mind, you believe, I'm not getting any more money. No more money's coming to me. So I have to spend it all right now so I can take advantage of it. Or I have to save every dollar because I never know when the next dollar is coming. That's an unhealthy relationship with money. And you're going to struggle doing either of those things. You need to come to the middle and say, it's money, so it's a form of currency, and a current, in order to be healthy, has to be moving. So there's a flow of money. I'm not going to squeeze it off and I'm not going to let it all go. I'm going to allow money to come into my life, and I'm also going to spend it on things that bring me happiness and joy.
What are some of the habits people can do? I'm thinking about like logging into my credit card, going through line by line, logging into my bank, going through line by line. Because I'll tell you what I learned as as a 7-year-old is that we shouldn't talk about money. We shouldn't leave the bank statements out. We
Yeah.
shouldn't leave the credit card statements out. I remember they were locked away. My
Wow.
dad had a desk that closed with a key, and
Wow.
you couldn't get in. And I remember my dad like balancing the checkbook with his little cross pen and kind of like hiding it.
Right.
And I think I learned the behavior of better not look.
Hmm.
Better not look at the statements. Better not look. And to reinforce that belief, it's like, well, even if I do look, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
You know. So I actually wrote down as you were talking, I'm supposed to be reimbursed this $2,000, and I don't know if it's happened. So I'm gonna go check. I made a note, make sure I got that $2,000 reimbursement. So what are some of the behavior changes at that kind of like money management level uh have you seen be most helpful?
Well, like, let's make this easy. We don't have to go line by line anymore because they didn't have the software when your parents were,
Mm-hmm.
the age we are now. So I recommend Monarch Money. I love it. It's one of the, I would have invented that software had I the $44 million or 75 million or 125 million that they put into that. Um,
Monarch money.
Monarch Money. And it pulls everything in. So they had Mint money. I didn't like Mint because it didn't link half of my account, so it wasn't useful, but it's actually a Mint that works. So Monarch Money basically puts everything in there for you. So you can have the app on your computer, you can have it on your phone, and it tracks your net worth. It tracks your spending. It does all of that for you. So the line by line thing, that's unnecessary. And that is what people think of. Like I don't budget, and I didn't budget when I became financially independent. Now most people are going to be like, "What? You don't budget?" And say, "Absolutely not," because that's the most boring, horrible thing in the world. I track. So I know exactly how much is going where. And my philosophy is I'm going to buy, I know what's coming in and I know what's going out, but I'm not going to have a category for I can only spend so much on shoes or clothes or food. I hate
So
that.
I answer the question, can I afford it? Like there's a can I
Right.
afford the new iPhone or can I
Right.
afford to take this trip? I think most people look at the bank account and they go, "Oh," and if they're an entrepreneur or if they pay taxes, I read this book, what's it called? Profit First. You ever heard of Profit First?
Yep. Yeah. Very familiar.
Profit First says entrepreneurs make financial decisions based on looking at a balance and checking their gut and then, okay, I could do it. But
Yeah.
then sometimes they get surprised with a huge tax bill and they go, ooh,
Right.
what happened to all my profit? So how do you answer the question, can I afford to do something?
I am I have an emergency savings, which I recommend for everybody. So you always have an emergency savings, which takes these, highs and lows out of money. So you always have an emergency savings. And that's based on how many kids do I have? Do I live in an apartment or do I own a home that I would have to pay if the furnace goes out? Is that my responsibility or the landlord's? So I always have an emergency savings. And when I first became financially independent, I also had a year's worth of living expenses just set aside.
Cash.
Yeah. So that I could just weather any storm that I needed. When I was becoming financially independent, I put everything into the stock market. I had an emergency savings, but I put everything into the stock market that I had extra. But I still traveled. I still went to like 30 foreign countries before I retired. So if my mindset is if you're buying something on a credit card that you can't pay off at the end of the month, then you can't afford it.
Okay.
So if I have to put this on a credit card and I know I'm not going to be paying this off for 5 months, then I can't afford it.
Yeah.
I also believe that if you're financing a car and it's going to take you 10 years to pay that off, then you probably can't afford that car.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and I'm not saying that you have to pay cash for every single thing, but to know that, like, I can afford this because I have the money. If I have to put this on credit and it's putting me in a situation where now I owe more and I'm going to have more or higher monthly bills, then you can't afford it.
Okay. There it is. How about real estate? Do you buy real estate?
I do.
Should people do stock market or should they do real estate?
I think they should start with the stock market because you have to know a lot less and there's somebody else doing the work for you. I have three phases that I teach: overall stock market, individual stock, and then real estate. So once people have a foundation, then I think real estate is a really good. Um, I would say that like a lot of my portfolio is in real estate, but I didn't start there. And so real estate is a lot more risky for most people, but the stock market is actually not risky. And I 100% believe that. So the stock market in the long term, over 20 years, you are not going to lose money. The chances of you losing money over a 20-year period in the stock market, unless you freak out when it goes down, is like less than 0.5%. It's going to be higher in 20 years than it is today. So as long as you say, I am committed to be a long-term investor, you're going to make a lot of money in the stock market with less risk.
Hmm. How about crypto?
I don't do it.
All right.
And this is why. For me, I help people become financially independent. It's easier for me to do that with the stock market because of the cycles and the trends. It's easier to kind of see where that's headed, what that's going. And so it's also easier to be able to say, I need this amount and I can take this much out and I'm going to be set for the rest of my life.
So you put money in consistently over time, it grows, it compounds, and then when you're ready to retire, you can take 4% a year.
Yeah, pretty simple, huh?
That's good.
It works.
So what's the point of the wealth mastermind that you run?
It's to we have teach like up-to-date stuff, teach people how to do it, work on the mindset, give them an accountability coach that they meet with, and that helps them accomplish a goal. So basically, we go from I don't even know how to work in the stock market. I don't know what the stock market, how it works, what it is, to within phase one, I'm making more in my brokerage account than I'm making by going to work full time. Or one other example in there is after 13 months, I had one client who was making about $1,000 a month with her financial planner. She was ready to move to a foreign country and be retired. So she got into the program. Within 13 months, she'd made $156,000 just by investing, by learning to invest. So we teach like the nuances of investing, which is where I believe the wealth growth is.
Now, what's the difference between you and a financial advisor, financial planner, or fiduciary, or any of those other certified people?
Most of the people that come to me who are using a financial planner are getting about a 3 to 6% return, which I have financial planner friends say to me, yeah, people should be happy with the 7%. They'll be totally happy with the 7%. And I'm like, what? We're getting like a minimum of 15%. In fact, I just talked to two different people who are getting 19% from 1 year. So today back 1 year, getting a 19%. And so I can't guarantee a return, and neither can a financial planner. The biggest difference is that we empower people to become their own financial planner. So they're not paying fees. They're not being put in funds. Like if I were a financial planner, I would get paid by putting you in a subpar fund. If you make money, it's none of my business. If I make money, that's my business. And if unless they're a fiduciary, then they don't have to align. Your goals and their goals don't have to align. They actually get paid to put you into funds. I teach you how to invest, and my hands aren't in your account. You manage it. It's you, and you're empowered then. And I also encourage people to teach their kids, teach their neighbors, teach your families how to do this.
Cool. 15% sounds great. 19% sounds even better.
That's really
That
good.
that makes it a lot more understandable how you can get to financial freedom sooner.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my financial advisor with the laptop there, we were not assuming 15% growth.
No. And I want you to have the highest return for the longest period of time. So we track 3, 5, 7, 10 years. So the longer or the higher your percentage is for the longer period of time, obviously the faster it compounds. So my goal is to have a 10-year average at like 19%. And so and I can't like say, hey, yeah, you're gonna get a 30% or you're gonna get whatever. I can't guarantee anything because the stock market goes up and down. What I can say is you're gonna be better at an investor, and you're probably gonna get a higher rate than you are with hiring somebody who has 1,000 different clients and gets paid to put you in a certain product.
Do you ever recommend borrowing money to invest other than with real estate?
I don't. I don't do any margin stuff because it's really about peace. And I don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt my peace because I literally was fully retired for 6 years and living on my passive income. You have to have gold standard money coming in. You can't like mess around with that. And I don't there's this thing called the hassle factor. So once you become financially independent, like I got rid of anything that was complicated on my taxes or anything else. I just didn't want to deal with that because I didn't want my peace disrupted, because the whole purpose of getting into financial independence is having peace and freedom. So I don't want to mess that up.
Yeah. Hmm. So what's the first step if someone wants to work with you?
They just go to my website, lisasmith.com, and they click on there. You can either do a contact information, or there's 3 different levels they can get into.
And this is just for Americans, or you have non-Americans?
I do. I work with people all over the world. Um, I A lot of my clients are in the US, Canada, Australia, but I have clients all over Europe. I literally have clients all over the world.
Hmm. And why is this important to you to teach? Why not just stay retired and just live your lavish retired lifestyle?
A lot of people, I get that question quite a bit. If you're retired, why aren't you just sitting on the beach? And the answer is that I live in the mountains and I go to the beach for vacation. And I go to the beach, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a year, where I'm there for several weeks. Um, I travel a lot. And when you're financially independent, I think one of the reasons to become financially independent is to do the thing that you came to earth to do. So, what is my passion? My passion is teaching about money. I happen to love something that a lot of people find scary or mysterious. And it's just like it's a thing that I understand and I get. So, why wouldn't I help other people do that versus just, for me, it's selfish to just sit on the beach and not do anything else with that when I have so much more to give. And so I feel like I've been called to do this really to help other people, to teach it in clear, simple ways so that anyone can go from, I don't have any idea what to do in the stock market, to I'm making more in my, brokerage account than I am working full time. Um, and there's so much joy in, for me, seeing people succeed. So I just get a kick out of helping people like accomplish their goals.
Cool.
And one other thing I'll mention is one of the things that I really push is that we're not just getting this money so we can get this money. I want them to have enough money so that they can create a legacy 7 generations beyond their own lifespan, so they can create like some kind of nonprofit or something that gives back. So there's all sorts of people are interested in pet shelters, or people are interested in educating girls in India. There's all sorts of different things that people are interested in, but it's
Yeah.
really to like bring more light, like help people. And so I help people who are good people because they will do good things with their money. And so I feel like it just lifts everybody up.
I'm with you, Lisa. Let's get rich. What's your goal with this thing, and how can I support you with this goal? Your goal.
My goal is to, so this is ambitious, but my goal is to get everybody, and we're going to start with the US and then we're going to go everywhere else. But my goal is to have everybody in the US allocated correctly in their 401k. And I believe that will bring in, that will create, without an employer paying another dollar to the person that they employ, it will give the employee millions of dollars more in their retirement account, which then levels up, takes away stress, takes away arguments. I mean, the number two, it's arguments about money is the second biggest reason for divorce. So if we can alleviate some of that pain and suffering that people are worried or they're stressed about money, if the money was just growing because they knew what to do, and it's literally a 20-minute fix inside your 401k. I go in with people and I help them reallocate correctly every single day. It's a 20-minute fix. If we can do that with everyone starting in the United States and then start going out country by country and just fixing that, everybody is in a better spot. Everybody has more peace. Everybody has the retirement that they want.
Allocation means this much is in stock and this much is in bonds and this
Yeah,
much
to
is.
put it in the right place. Yeah, instead of having it spread all over the place. The most common thing that we do now is we put everybody in some of everything. But that's like taking a glass of lemonade. I personally like lemonade, and just pouring water into the lemonade, a whole pitcher of water into your lemonade. Like at the end, what's that going to taste like? It's going to taste like water because we've just diluted it. So you actually don't want to dilute your returns. You want to find the best thing and put all your money in it. That's not risky, because if it's an index fund, then it's spread out over, 500 to 2,400 country or companies. So it's actually, we want to like, it's kind of like betting on the best racehorse. If we know who's going to win, which we do, then we want to put all of our money in that thing instead of just spreading it all over. And that's why you get a 4% return if you're working with a financial planner, because they put you in 20 different things. So they dilute your return. And I don't want to dilute my returns. That's why we get 15 to 19% returns, because we don't dilute them. We pick the best thing and we put all of our money in there.
I thought that's the risky thing.
Right. Counterintuitive.
Yeah, it is.
Successful investing is counterintuitive.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom, for opening up your mastermind to this group. So go to Lisa's website. Say the website one more time, please.
LisaSmith.com.
Easy. Thank you for being an expert here on the Expert Speaker Podcast.
Thank you.